Hey crafting friends, Jessica here with Tiny Worlds of Wonder, stopping in to share a quick tutorial on getting started on a new coloring page. Now, this might seem like it's not a problem that needs a tutorial, but I can tell you, as someone who struggles with the fear of the blank page, that getting started is often the hardest part for me. When I'm staring at a white piece of paper and my brain tells me, this is gonna be so hard, are you gonna do a good job? How's it gonna turn out? Especially if it's an image you love. So today I'm gonna take you on a little tour of my thought process on how I get started. Today's book is the beautiful new release by Colorit called Colors of the Jungle. I'm working on the page with the beautiful African Swallowtail on it. I did a full flip through of this book recently on the channel, so you can check it out in the cards up top. I am also a Colorit affiliate, so when you use the affiliate link in the description below, I do get a small commission for sending you their way, but I never show a product here on the channel that I don't really believe in, and Colorit is no exception. They're my absolute favorite coloring book company. So my first step when I'm looking at a blank piece of paper in one of my books is to decide what medium I think is going to work the best. Now, from experience, I know that Colorit paper takes every coloring medium in my stash. It takes Inktense perfectly, Faber-Castell watercolor pencils beautifully, it takes Prismacolors beautifully, and of course it takes all of the Colorit coloring media beautifully as well. So in this case, I know that I want a really vibrant, intense color. So I'm gonna pick my Derwent Inktense pencils. I have the set of 36 plus a few extras that I've just been collecting over the years. And those are kind of my go-to when I want a really bright, saturated color that layers up really, really well. My second step is going to be to find a reference photo. Now, I've already done that for this page because thebutterflybabe.com gave me absolutely a perfect reference photo that I can look at while I color this page. How gorgeous is that butterfly? That's what we're going to be trying to recreate on this page. So I think finding a good reference photo is absolutely invaluable when you're coloring, especially more complex subjects like this one. My next step before I touch my page is always to plan my color scheme. So I've gone ahead and pulled out the blotter page that comes in every Colorit book. This is a tear out page because all their pages are top perforated. It's really easy to grab that out and I can test out some colors here. So I know when I look at my butterfly and my reference photo that we're gonna want a whole bunch of oranges. Now I've swatched out all the colors of Inktense that I own, and I have to say I don't have a tremendous number of oranges, so I might have to get a little creative in my mixing here. But if we look at our reference photo, you might be able to tell we have some oranges, we have some yellows, we also have some browns, some grays, definitely some blacks. And so I feel like with the colors that I have, I'm definitely going to be able to mix up something that's going to work pretty well here. So for my blacks, I have to decide, is this a cool black? Does it have blue undertones? Or is it a warm black with kind of brown undertones? And to my eye, this is definitely a warm black. So I'm going to go more to the side of Indian ink, bark, those are two very dark browns, and then maybe a little bit of charcoal gray. Now charcoal gray is a cool gray, but I feel like when I mix it with my Indian ink, I'm gonna get close to what I want. So for my blacks here, let's go ahead and swatch out a couple of things. Here's some Indian ink. Indian ink is actually not as dark as charcoal gray in my experience. I'm gonna go ahead and pull out bark too. Maybe bark will be my lighter black. It might be weird to hear someone say a lighter black and a darker black, but when you're doing coloring pages that are a little bit more detailed, I think it's good to have various shades of your colors. So the last one I used there was ink black for my darkest color. I sometimes like to go over everything with my lightest color. Forgot to grab a paper towel for blotting. Nice. So you see there along the leading edge when I activate these colors that I have a little more of a brown. And that blends into more of a black as I go. I think actually my Indian ink might need to be my darkest color. So let's try that. Sometimes I have to test out a few different combos. So we'll make ink black my midtone, which is kind of strange, but sometimes in practice, the colors don't lay down quite the way you thought. Seems like black would be darker, but I don't think it is, actually. Having a nice wet brush really is helpful. Yeah, that looks better to my eye. Okay, so you can see as I pull these out that we get a bit of a gradient that way from a brown, a warm brown, into a true black. So that's what I'm going to use for a lot of the black areas on my image. Again, that color combo was bark, ink black, and Indian ink. And then I might add some charcoal gray, which is, I think, the darkest black in my stash, actually. But because it's a cool black, I'm going to use that a little more sparingly. Now let's dig into some yellows. So when I look at my reference photo, I see that we have a yellow-orange up here in the body and on some various places throughout our butterfly. So I think the closest color that I have to that might be Sicilian Yellow, which has definitely an orange tone to it. Okay, so there's Sicilian Yellow, and I'm going to use that kind of on its own, probably. Okay, because that's going to pull out, if I keep blending this, to a really pale yellow, I think I'll be able to use that on the body as well. Now comes the fun part, the oranges. So we are going to need for the oranges more of a brown orange for the most part, a warm orange than any other shade. So my rule of thumb is grab 3 colors. I kind of want the true color, central color I'm going for here, which might be actually something like baked earth, which is a bit of a terracotta brown. Let's test this out. Okay, so if that's kind of my true burnt orange for some of my butterfly, then maybe we want an orange for kind of our highlight area. This is Tangerine, and this is really the only truly orange that I own in my whole stash. So this is a bit of a challenge, I think, to get some oranges going without any true orange in my stash. Okay, then I want something perhaps even a little more brown, but still with an overtone of orange to it. So I might grab this color called Willow, which is actually one of the browns in my set here. And when I look at this, I might not necessarily think butterfly color. But if you get into the practice of looking at the real world, I think the colors that you actually see are pretty surprising. I'm going to go over the whole thing with Tangerine because I'm going to tint this a little more toward the orange family. And this might be a total disaster. Let's just see what happens here. Not a total disaster. Now, do you see how, as I blended across, that all of those became truly orange? What do you think? Are we on to something there? I kind of think we are. I'm not an artist. I'm a hobbyist, so I'm sure that there are different strokes for different folks on how this can be done. But I'm pretty happy with that combo of orange. Now, I don't think I'm going to use a whole lot of this Tangerine shade on this butterfly. I'm probably going to use more of these midtones in various places. But I think that's a good color combo, so I'm going to make a note of that. So this was Sicilian Yellow. Because I often have to leave my coloring and come back, I find that having a color guide written down is really helpful. My darkest color was Willow. My midtone was Baked Earth. Now for some of the black on the body here, that is going to be for the most part too deep to achieve with Inktense. without going through a lot of layers, and there are very few types of coloring book paper that can handle enough layers to make that true a black. So sometimes I go back in with Prismacolors and just darken up the true black. Okay, so that is overall my color scheme for my butterfly. So we had the bark, ink black, Indian ink for the black tones, the Tangerine, baked earth, and Willow for the oranges, the Sicilian Yellow for a nice golden yellow, and then the Willow plus ink black and the Willow plus Indian ink for some of these areas closer to the body of the butterfly there. Shout out to Sara Folts at the Butterfly Babe for that gorgeous reference photograph. I am going to continue working on this butterfly. I'm going to be posting my progress over on Instagram, so be sure to check me out there at Tiny Worlds of Wonder. I hope you've really enjoyed seeing today how I would plan a color scheme and how I would get started on a fresh blank page. Again, this book is a brand new release from Colorit called Colors of the Jungle. Like I said earlier, I'll stick an affiliate link in the description below so that you can find this and all of Colorit's other amazing coloring books and products. As always, have a great week and spread some joy wherever you are. I'll catch you next time. Bye.